First of all, percent means what, Charlie?
How much? How much?
What is the word percent? If you break about the word per and cent, it means, John?
Out of 100?
Out of 100. Okay. And we use the little percent symbol, which you all know is like this. Out of 100. You need to be able to interchange or change. We don't do math with percents. For example, if I asked you to find 75% of 20, okay, we don't do mathematical operations with percents. So with percents, you either need to change it, to a decimal, or you need to change it to a fraction. Okay, and it will be your choice at the end there. If you have 75%, we just talked about what does percent mean. The easiest, if percent means out of 100, then what fraction do you suppose 75% is? Not reduced, first of all. Brennan?
7500.
Yeah, it's 75 over 100. Reduced, it is 3/4. We all pretty much know that that's a common one. As a decimal, look at how nice this is too. How do you write 75 hundredths as a decimal? Trevor?
0.75.
0.75. Okay, 0.75. So if you're talking about 75% of 20, I think we've discussed this many times before, the word of in math is multiply. So it really is your choice of whether you want to multiply by the fraction 3/4 or the decimal 0.75. Either one of them will come up with the correct answer. It's just that sometimes one is easier than the other. Now before we go any farther, I need you to write this down for me because I have 8th graders and 7th graders who still are stuck on this concept here. Okay? Never, all right. When given a percent problem, no, wait, let me do this. When given a percent story problem, comma, it is rarely, if not never, a division problem. Think about times that you use percent in the real world. Anybody? Well, if you got an 80% on your English test and there were 20 questions on it, how would you find out how many you got right? Let me tell you, you will not divide ever to find that answer. When you go to a restaurant and you're supposed to tip what percent? 20%. You will not ever divide to find that answer. When you go to a store and you pay tax, I think Yorkville is somewhere around 8% tax. Never will you divide to find whatever answer you're looking for. With percents, it is almost always, without a doubt, found by doing multiplication. Get that in your head. And I've invited 1st grade, 2nd grade.
If you'd like to come watch, we're going to do the parade in a couple minutes. You just need to sit down on the ground in the office.
Do you think this group of 6th
So
graders?
they're not blocking the parents.
I don't believe, Mrs. Bochek, that they would give up mathematics for this.
Yes.
But I will ask.
I wouldn't give it up.
I will ask them.
I would.
How long?
In a couple minutes, we're starting.
So should I,
They're mingling right now with their parents. We're gonna line them up soon.
okay, so 30 seconds will be.
Yeah.
Alright, so get that in your mind, and I don't know why that is. Just for example, you go into a restaurant, the bill is $30 for whatever you had. And you need to figure out how much tip you're gonna leave. And let's say you're leaving a 20% tip. You will not divide by anything to find that answer. You wanna know what 20% of $30 is. It is a multiplication problem. People, I guess, don't think it's multiplication because they're afraid they're going to get a bigger number than 30 for their answer, but they're not. 20% is what is a fraction?
20.
Which is what is a fraction? Reduce that. It's 1/5. What is 1/5 of 30? 1/5 times 30 is 6. Your tip would be $6. You're not dividing by 20. Okay, you're multiplying by either 0.2, by the way, look, $30 times 20% as a decimal, which is 0.20. Guess what you get? 0, 0, 0, 6, 1, 2, $6. It's always multiplication. Don't ever think you're going to divide by percentages. You never divide by percentages. Okay? On your English quiz, your test, there were 50 questions. They haven't started. You got a 90%. On your quiz, that means you got 90% right, or you got 10% wrong, either way you want to look at it. How many problems did you get wrong? You are going to multiply to find that answer. You got 10% wrong, so you're going to find 10% of 50. You can either multiply those two together as a decimal, 0.1 times 50, or the fraction 1/10 times 50. Either way, how many problems did you get wrong? 5. 1/10 of 50 is 5. 0.1 times 50, 50 times 0.1 is 0.5, or whatever, 50 with one decimal place, 5. It's always multiplication, kids, always. Don't ever think you're going to divide when it comes to percent.